Welcome to Real Life with Jenny. My name's Jenny Sanvaratna. Grab your favorite drink, get yourself a snack, probably two of them, and we'll get started. Today I have a blueberry green tea and chocolate covered blueberries. I got them from a friend in International Falls. Thank you so much. They are delicious. So let's get real. Now, a couple weeks ago, my husband and I had the opportunity to go to International Falls to speak. I did a women's event and he did Sunday morning. It was one of the most beautiful drives I've had in a really long time because it's peak season here in Minnesota, especially up north. And at that point, now it's a little bit more our area. And so all the leaves were changing different colors. It was just gorgeous. And it was just one of those drives that just bring you to back to like a really simple place in your life. That is what happens every time I leave the Twin Cities. I get out and it just brings me to a simpler time. A time when my job in a car was to look out at trees and eat snacks. Those were my two jobs. I had no other responsibilities. In fact, we stopped at a Hardee's on the way up, and it was just kind of a happenstance. You stop in a town and you're like, what do they have? It's around noon, those kind of moments. And there was a Hardee's, and they had all these different, I haven't been to Hardee's in years. And so I was like, wow, all these hundreds of different options. And I saw what I wanted from when I was a kid, the hot ham and cheese sandwich. Now they had a big one, and then they had in small print a little one. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to get the little one because I don't know that I can eat that much. So I got the little one. And then my husband got like this big, like, with like 7 different sides. So I ate some of his like French fries and stuff. But it brought me back. Because I remember as a kid, that's what I always had, was a hot ham and cheese sandwich. I don't know that they had hamburgers back then. Maybe they did. I just never knew they did because that's what my grandpa got. So that's what I got. Like life was simple. And it just brought me back to that simplistic time in my life that you really had no responsibilities. Your job was really to have fun and to stay out of people's hair. Like that was my job as a kid. And then you grow up and life gets complicated, right? Like all of a sudden your mind is going a million miles an hour. I remember we're driving on the road and my husband is talking, and then there was a moment of lull in the conversation, and my head went to 1,000 different things in that minute. Like, ooh, did I put this on my list? Did I put that on my list? In fact, I think I gave my husband 4 things to remind me to do because my mind was going a million miles an hour. And then I'd look up at the trees and go, no, Jenny, you need to take a time and make it simple again. And this is just kind of one of those everyday things. Like, I think we get so caught up in the complexity of what life really is. And it is. It's super complex. We are constantly thinking about, did we do the laundry? Did we take the laundry out of the dryer? Is it hung up? You know what? I wouldn't know the answer to that because that is something my husband does. So to be honest with you, I don't know the answer to that. But I am spoiled. And so that is something I don't stress about. But there are lots of things that I'm thinking about. I was about to take a test in the next couple days. I was worried about our daughter who we had left home. And you're never 100% sure how she's doing because this is a new thing for her. And you're thinking about the dog, and you're thinking about your parents, and you're thinking about the groceries, and you're thinking about the gas in the car, and was that a weird thump? Did I hit something, or is there something wrong? I mean, like your mind is going a million miles an hour all the time. You're in the grocery store, and that is why, like, whenever I'm shopping now, to make life simpler for myself, it sounds really bizarre, but my mind can be going a million miles an hour. In fact, last night I went to Big Lots, which I like to go to like every 6 months because they have some really weird finds, and there's always something interesting. If you go every 6 months, if you go more often than that, it kind of gets mundane in my mind. So I go about every 6 months and I had a $10 coupon. So I was like, I have to spend money. Like, this is my job. And I started off and I was like, okay, and I'm shopping. And my mind is just going crazy. Like, I could not focus on what was, because there was so many like, Jenny, did you remember this? Jenny, did you remember that? So I actually stopped in the middle of Big Lots, pulled out my earbuds, put in a book, and just let the book be playing, and then I was shopping. It just simplified everything for me, because all I had to do during that a time that I was at Big Lots was figure out how to spend my $10 coupon and listen to this book. And it drowned out the rest of all of the worries and cares that you kind of walk through. So I've really started doing that for myself. At first I did it to kind of get through books, because I was like, the one day I did it, I was like, I don't want to get out of the car. I want to finish listening to this book. So I popped in my earbuds, and then I was like, wait a minute, this is like a win-win. And I'm not suggesting that you put earbuds in, although you could listen to music. I have listened to the Bible. I have done things like that, because it just keeps your mind quiet. And that is something as an adult we don't have a lot of. In fact, I don't think teenagers have it either, because I'm looking at my daughter. She doesn't have a lot of quiet time in her mind. But as a kid, that's all I had. Like, I didn't have cares. I didn't have worries. I had like I said, I had 2 jobs: have fun, stay out of people's hair. Like, those are my jobs. And that disappears. And so to come back to that, was really kind of fun on this road trip, and also in the store last night. And so I just encourage you to look for ways to quiet your mind. Our minds are so amazing that we can do so many things at the same time. Like, even as you're doing a podcast, something will pop in my head and I'll be like, do I say that? Do I not say that? I don't know. In like 30 seconds. And then all of a sudden you're thinking about the grocery list that you need to complete, right? It's the truth, because I just went, oh, I better put butter on the grocery list. Anyway, our minds are so complex, and they're so wild. Things can just pop in your mind in the middle of nothing. Like, our dreams at night. For me, my dreams really reflect kind of what I'm stressed about. And so I can really tell, like, when I wake up and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm stressed about A, B, and C, because this is how my dreams went. I've kind of gotten to that point that I understand them a little bit. But I also know that I will be sleeping, and all of a sudden at 1 a.m., pop up. Okay, I never pop up. Let's just be real. All of a sudden I'm like, I don't pop up. That doesn't happen. I'm in my late 40s. We don't, pop out of bed. How about my eyes pop open and I go, oh no, I forgot about. In fact, I send out an email with this podcast every week, just so it ends up in people's emails. They have to sign up for it, and it ends up in their email. And one night it was like 2 a.m, and my eyes pop open and I went, oh my goodness, it's Saturday. I did not send out my email that I was supposed to send out Wednesday. Like, it was just, your mind is never not going. It is constantly busy. And if you allow your mind to be what dictates your life, you will be chaotic. That is just the way it is. If your mind is in charge, you will live in chaos, because your mind can do things that your body can't. Like, your body cannot keep up with your mind. You can't do everything that you're thinking of. It's just not possible. And so I think that's kind of how we have framed our lives, though. We framed our lives to be kind of chaotic. Is that bad to say? But it's true. Like, we've really allowed the noise to kind of seep into all of our day. And when you have those quiet moments, which are so rare and far between, especially when you have young kids. But even now that I have a teenager, I'm finding that I'm actually uncomfortable with these quiet moments that I'm like, oh, am I not being productive because there's a quiet moment happening here? And to come to the realization that that is what God calls us to. God calls us to rest many times in the Bible. In fact, I could probably look it up because I've done several different women's events on rest because it is something that I'm super passionate about because it's something that we don't do a lot of. Like we say we do, but we really let our minds rest? Now, for me last night, as I was at Big Lots, I'm there and I'm like, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? Popped in my earbuds, started listening to my book. And it was like a hyper focus of you're here to get Christmas presents. What would be good for Christmas? And it was just like all of the dominoes just lined up. It was just one of those most incredible moments that it was just a hyper focus that everything else fell to the side. And I feel like that was a moment of rest. Yes, I was working, but it was a peaceful time, and we don't have a lot of those anymore. And we're constantly seeking after peace, and we're constantly almost chasing after peace. And that's not what God says in the Bible. He doesn't say chase after peace, unless I'm missing it. Maybe I am, but I have not memorized that Bible verse. How about that? Chase after peace and you will find it. God talks about rest and how we really need to figure out a way to become mindfully restful. Not only physically restful, but mindfully restful. And to put aside our worries and our cares and cast them on Him. And it's so hard to do. It's easy to say, it's easy to quote, but it's hard to do. And it is a minute by minute choice that we have to live in the chaos that the world says is important, or to live in the rest that God calls us to. What will you decide to do? Will you decide to take that car ride, whether it is with your kids in the car and you turn on some music and you just take a half an hour and let your mind rest and let the music, let the kids enjoy the music, you enjoy the music? I have no idea who would actually do that, but is there a way to find rest for your mind and that you will find some peace in what God really has called you to, that He has called you to rest in Him? So I just pray that you find some creativity in this area. I'm still working on it. There are things that I do that I maybe can talk about another time. Like I said, I've done several women's events on this and have a huge laundry list of finding ways to rest, even in the midst of a chaotic world and a chaotic life. Because I was working full-time and being a full-time mom, I cooked every night. And it wasn't because I liked chaos. It was because that's what I felt like I had to do. I felt like this is what's expected of me. And God called me to a place of rest. And I believe that rest in the Lord heals things that you didn't know were broken. And so as you're walking through life and you feel like there's a lot broken, part of that can be healed in God's rest. So I pray that you find some creative ways to do that. Well, that is all I have for you this week. I know that God will help you use some creativity, maybe even a 5-minute mind break, right? That sounds really weird, but our minds, I refuse to allow it to keep me in a chaotic state at all times. So I pray that that will be something that you can find too. You can find me at Real Life with Jenny on Instagram, Facebook, and Be Real. You can also find me at ChristConnection.cc. Yes, .cc. It's weird, but it works for us. So you can find us there. Excited about what God's doing, and I love that He's teaching me how to rest in Him, not only physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. And so I just pray that this week, mentally, you find rest. Have a great week.